PFLAG Olympia's 4th Annual Candidates Forum. We're going to begin by each candidate introducing themselves, giving us a 1-minute introduction, then we'll open it up for Q&A. Could you please give us your introduction and let us know how you relate to the LGBT community?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bill Fishburne. I'm originally from Spokane, Washington, where I was born and raised, and we raised our children here in Thurston County since 1996. The way that I relate to the LGBTQ family basically is I'm the president of the Hispanic Roundtable of South Sound. I've been involved in the group since 2008, and we put on a Latino Youth Summit every year for 500 students. In that summit, we have made sure, since I've been involved at least, that we have at least, well, it started out as an LGBT panel, and now as an LGBTQIA panel. So we offer that every year to our marginalized students to make sure that they have a place where they feel comfortable discussing in a safe space their concerns.
What are you running for?
I'm running for Port Commissioner District 2. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name's Clark Gilman. I represent you now on Olympia City Council, and I'm running to retain my seat. I relate primarily right now. I'm a paraeducator at South Sound High School, the alternative high school for the North Thurston district. And we have many youth who the reason they're at the alternative high school is because of struggles in coming out, right? And I also, in my advocacy work as a council person, the homelessness issue is so intertwined for youth and young adults, right, about coming out. So that's at the center of my work right now. And then I would just say that as both a council person and a community leader, I lead with love, and I don't subscribe to basing my decisions on fear.
Hi. I'm Alan Miller. I'm running for Olympia City Council position number 5. I've been a community servant leader for many, many years, 35 years in Olympia, just briefly been on the school board, been on the planning commission, led the effort to get the Metropolitan Parks District bond measure passed, so we have LBA Woods and other parks. As far as the LGBTQ community, my best friend in high school was gay, and so we dealt with bullying in our high school. We both went on to become attorneys. He's a law professor down in California. I worked for a congressman from the San Francisco area back in the late 70s between college and law school, and so I had the privilege of meeting Harvey Milk before he was assassinated, just a couple months before that. And so he's always been a hero of mine. And in the Olympia community, when I was on the United Way board, I was the president, and the board had taken a vote to fund the Boy Scouts, and I disagreed with that decision and met individually with each of the board members and turned that vote around. Within 3 weeks, we took a reconsideration and voted to defund the Boy Scouts. And just been a supporter of marriage equality, working with Senator Ed Murray at the time that he was a senator. So been very supportive since high school, which is hard to believe 45 years ago. Thanks.
Good afternoon, thanks for having me. My name is Scott Clifthorn, and I'm running for the Olympia School Board. I relate to the LGBTQ community in a few different ways. I'm fortunate to count a number of family members and friends as queer, and it's a long-term commitment for me. Back when I was 16 years old and washing dishes and working as a host, I was really proud when I got my first car to put a Hands Off Washington bumper sticker on it. I contributed a day's worth of wages to get that bumper sticker, and I've been on that road ever since. Another particular leadership point that I'm really proud of is my union work on behalf of LGBTQ community members. Most especially when I was a local union president, I led the affiliation of my local union into the AFL-CIO's affinity group for the LGBTQ community, Pride at Work, which some of you may be involved in. In addition to that, I also negotiate contract language for a lot of different unions. And one of the frontiers that we've been working on over the past decade is protections against gender identity and gender expression discrimination. I won language in contracts for many workers at the University of California system, including that language. And I just got that language into a new contract for the municipal workers in the city of Black Diamond last week. So, cheers.
I'm E.J. Zita, and I'm your port commissioner. I'm a farmer, a scientist, a teacher, and a lesbian. My mom was a dairy farmer, and I'm a beef farmer. I teach at Evergreen. About half of the students at Evergreen identify as queer, one way or another, and we support them every day in a lot of ways. I grew up in a military family and married a soldier. A lot of you know Nancy Armstrong. And she served as an out lesbian when she was called to active duty in Operation Iraqi Freedom. We've both served our community for decades here, and I'd like to keep serving you on the Port of Olympia for a port for the people. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Clay Johnson, and in 2018, I'll be on the ballot for Washington State U.S. Senator. I relate to the LGBT community in primarily that I'm a person. I wouldn't want to be discriminated against in any ways that they have been discriminated against, and I would make sure that any legislation that I support wouldn't be doing that. I'm currently spearheading a project with the Olympia Brewery District and with a redevelopment effort in getting that situated. I'm also Well, let's just move on to experience then. I've obtained 2 IT degrees from South Puget Sound Community College. I've got no recent political experience other than the fact that I volunteer for a number of different organizations. The Green Party of South Puget Sound has been the one who's monopolizing a lot of my time. I've also spent my time volunteering for Thurston County Progressives and a number of other local organizations. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thanks for the forum today, PFLAG. My name is Renata Rollins. I'm running for Olympia City Council position 6. And if I am elected, I believe I would be the first openly queer woman elected to City Council in Olympia. I'm a passionate community advocate. I'm a social worker. I've done work with the homeless community in Olympia. Nonprofit board leader. I'm past board chair of Partners in Prevention Education and currently the vice chair, which is an organization serving people in Olympia who are youth and young adults, queer, homeless, survivors of violence. We're downtown at the Purple House near the tracks. Been with PIPE for about 3 years, and prior to joining the board, helped organize the Transgender Day of Remembrance, which was organized by PIPE. That's a day in November where we remember and honor the lives of transgender folks that were lost in the past year. And that was the founding group that was kind of the seed for a group called Transgender Advocacy Group, which is still around. They do, I'm not involved anymore, but they do a show called Tea Time on TCTV. Anyway, running for the council, I love this community, love being an active community member, and particularly concerned with affordability, with downtown safety and access, community accessibility in general, and of course, social justice. Thanks.
I'm Ken Mosley. I'm running for the Lacey City Council. I've been an advocate for Lacey for a long time. I've been actively involved in the community. I think I know Lacey better than most people, and I love the city dearly. Now, my involvement with the community is narrow and short. Virgil Clarkson is a friend of mine. I'm running for Virgil's seat. Virgil has endorsed me for that seat. And Virgil asked me to come today as his guest, and I'm very happy to do that because I take the opportunity to learn a little bit more. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Hillary Seidel, and I am a parent of 3 and a current school volunteer, and I'm running for Olympia School District position 4. And You know, I grew up in a household in suburban Vancouver, which is a fairly conservative community. It was unusual, but my parents taught me from a very young age that everyone had a right to be who they were, and no one got to tell anyone what their identity was. But I would say that my first foray into activism was with my local health department. I was part of the pilot group of a group of youth peer mentors whose job it was to go around to all the local high schools and teach about consent. And at the time, HIV/AIDS prevention, but one of the things we slipped in the school district didn't notice was we also taught about homophobia and how important it was to respect the identity of other students. And with that group, my first sort of protest was actually ballot measure 9, if you remember that gem down in Oregon. That was a big part of my formation as an activist and also as an ally, and I hope to continue that work on the school board.
Thank you. My name is Debbie Sullivan. I'm running for Tumwater City Council position number 6, and I am currently an incumbent in that position. My experience or my connection to this group is I have family members who are gay, and I've watched their struggles through their whole entire life of having a failed marriage, trying to fit in. I'm originally from Montana, so you can imagine what it was like for my family members to come out and be accepted. When I was in Bellingham, I was a real estate appraiser, and my business partner was lesbian. And I thought it would be a little bit more liberal in Bellingham, but I still watched the struggles that they went through, both of them went through in that community. So very connected and very supportive of this group.
Hello, I'm Carolyn Cox, and I'm running for Lacey City Council position 7. Like Debbie, my story is probably familiar to a lot of you. I have a stepsister who's gay, and from the time I was a teenager, I found myself trying to defend her to my stepmother, who was a very dear person, but she couldn't get in and continues to be, that her own mother couldn't accept her. I also have very dear friends in the community and have embraced their struggles and their heartbreaks and their triumphs. If I'm elected to the Lacey City Council, I want to ensure that every person in Lacey is treated with dignity, with respect, and with equality. Thank you.
I'm Bill McGregor, and I am the incumbent for Port of Olympia Commissioner District 2. My connection has been through our foster care program that we've run in our home for 35 years. The job of a foster parent is reunification of the child to the family or reunification of the child to an adoptive home. And we've had several same-gender parents come into our home. All are welcome. We treat everyone with the same respect that we would want to be treated with. And we work with parents in getting those children into a safe environment. So I'm very proud to say that after 35 years, we've had a lot of interaction and very positive interactions with a lot of different families. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Janine Rowe, and I have been on City Council since 2008 in position 6. And I previously worked for the Washington State Senate and for Senator Lisa Brown, who was the majority leader from Spokane, as well as Sid Snyder. And I think the other night I said my mentor was Sid Snyder, and in this group I would say it's Lisa Brown, who is so progressive. I learned so much from her. And when I lived in Spokane and was married at the time, my husband was in the House of Representatives, and we went to one of the very first PFLAG events. And it was hard in Spokane, and so that's why here in Olympia, I appreciate what a warm, welcoming community we are to all. And it's a privilege for me to be here today, and I have good friends in the PFLAG group, including Courtney Shreve, and many, many parents, neighbors, and friends. So thank you for having me here today, and I would appreciate your vote this fall.
I'm Lisa Parshley. I'm running for Olympia City Council position 5. Many of you have heard me speak over this last few months saying I'm running because I want to give back to my community, and I was taught you were supposed to leave nobody behind. Some of you have also heard that some of my first political activism was fighting the Citizens Alliance in Oregon when they made and were successful in making homosexuality illegal in the early 1990s. What a lot of you haven't heard was why I did that. I had to face my own bigotry when my best friend in high school came out. I realized I was a bigot. I realized that I had to change. And getting to know her and opening my own mind, I realized I had to go one step further, just like my grandfather taught me. I put it all out for that initiative, trying to defeat it. I worked on the front lines when people's lug nuts were being loosened by the opposition, and luckily we lost nobody. From that day to now, I have remained open. I try to stay open to my own bigotry, and I try to correct other people's bigotry. We have a hiring practice at both of my hospitals that is blind. We hire for skill, not for race, not for sex or sexual orientation or identification. I'm Lisa Parshley.
I'm Jim Cooper. I'm running for re-election to the Olympia City Council, where I've served for the past 6 years. I have several close friends and relatives who fall into the LGBTQ category and are proud of it, and I'm proud of them. I like to think that every step of my life is committed to bringing true equity and inclusion to this world. We have a lot of work to do. My focus is on Olympia at the moment, where I've been a strong advocate for gender-neutral restrooms. In fact, all single-stall restrooms that are owned by the City of Olympia are now gender-neutral, and Councilmembers Rowe's committee, the General Government Committee, is working on how we can take that out to our private businesses. And then I have a 5-year-old, and she's going to kindergarten in the Olympia Public Schools, and in the last 3 or 4 weeks since school started, I've realized that she is subtly being educated that gender is binary. And so my goal now is to step into that classroom and see if I can figure out how to bring the right sensitivity learning to that classroom and that teacher and that school district if they don't already have it.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Pete Kamat. I'm the current mayor of Tumwater, and I'm up for re-election. Tumwater, over the years, we've done a number of steps to support gay and lesbian community. I certainly have a number of friends and co-workers and peers that come from the community, but we were one of the first communities in the area to pass a non-discrimination ordinance in our hiring practices and the way we deal with the public, and I supported that ordinance and have lived by that in our hiring practices at City Hall. We always proudly fly the gay pride flag, the rainbow flag, during the Pride Weekend and participate in the parade. Our community was also pretty key in helping Pizza Clash expand their reach to a lot of different schools throughout the area, with some early funding that helped them expand their services. So all of those efforts I've supported over the years, and certainly will continue to do that in the future. So, again, Pete Kamat, candidate for re-election, Tumwater Mayor. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Max Brown. I'll try and give you something different because it sounds like we're getting a pattern, and it's not that different for me. I have friends and family members in the LGBTQ community, and I'm going to tell you a story. This last year, one of the most disheartening things I've seen across our country has been the rise in hate groups that we've seen since November and January. And I remember in these certain instances, one of the things I wish I could say is, that'll never happen in my town. But I remember 10, 12 years ago, when we had hate groups, neo-Nazis, coming to protest at our state capitol. And I'm gonna age myself here now, 10, 12 years ago, as a junior in high school, we got together with Matt Grant. I was a Capitol High School student. Got together with Matt Grant, who was the principal of Olympia, and some other students within the Olympia School District, and we hosted a Unity in the Community event. So it really started to kick off at the Washington Center for the Performing Arts to say, not this kind of behavior, not in our town, not ever. And I want to continue to make sure that that voice is heard, that hate and discrimination are not welcome in Olympia, and that we need to be inclusive of all people, regardless of their background, sexual orientation, gender identity, and if you're a person of color, anybody in our community should feel welcome and safe in Olympia. And I want to do that as a candidate for Olympia City Council. Thank you.
I'm Mark Champlin. I'm currently serving on the Olympia School Board, been on the board for 9 years. Real proud of some of the progress we've made. Graduation rates of 90% sound wonderful. That's actually the goal of the ESSA, the new federal standards by 2026, but it's not good enough. We want to know what every child that is not graduating, what the issues are. We know the issues with LGBTQ youth. They're homeless a lot of times. They don't get the supports they need in high school, and we know they don't graduate, and we need to make sure to keep reaching out to those kids. We have been pretty progressive as far as a bathroom bill for the district, and I really expected to hear a lot of negative feedback from some of our less understanding people, and we haven't. And we need to keep working on that and make sure that it continues to be all means all. My family has been involved with Planned Parenthood from the beginning. My wife was a volunteer there. My son was on teen council, and now he's at Evergreen State College wanting to be a sex ed teacher, and in the Planned Parenthood organization is his goal. So Pizza Clutch in our schools, they've been there a long time, and we really support them being there. It's an outlet, and we need to do more for the kids, and we'll keep looking. Mark Campo, Olympia School District, position 5. Thank you.
Thank you, PFLAG, for hosting this forum. My name is Chelsea Resnett, and I'm running for Tumwater City Council, position number 5. And the way that I relate to the LGBTQ community is as an intersectional socialist feminist. And what does that mean? For me, what that means is that universal health care is a priority because everyone, for instance, a trans individual who needs access to HRT and other specialized services should be able to access it. I am a pro-choice candidate, and everyone who needs access to birth control and related services should be able to access it. Our LGBTQ allies, friends, and family need protections and considerations, and they should be centered always at the forefront of all of these discussions. One of the ways, or 3 of the ways that I have tried to bring these issues to the foreground during my campaign is during this year's Capitol Pride, I volunteered with Washington Won't Discriminate, which was a decline to sign campaign against the initiative, which eventually failed, trying to bring a bathroom bill style initiative to Washington State, which was explicitly discriminatory against trans individuals. I've also been working with Olympia Community Defense, which is an organization led by trans women to address food security, mutual aid, and defense of trans people in the community who feel threatened or intimidated by fascist activity. I also had the opportunity to open my home. I had, for a time, a spare room that I made available to a trans woman friend of mine who was otherwise in an abusive situation. These are the realities that we need to confront because it is a dangerous time to be an LGBTQ individual in this country and in the city, and that needs to change. So I hope to continue doing that work, and it would certainly be an honor to do so with the City Council. Thank you.